Hello and welcome back to another video. This one is my September wrap up. I know we've already had a week of October, but these books that I read in September are perfect to read in October if you don't like horror, because you only ever read horror in October, but I get that a lot of people don't like reading horror. So all of the books that I read in September are perfect for also reading in October. They're all autumnal vibes, apart from one, but I thought it was autumnal and it turned out that it's not, but it was still a good read anyway. So yeah, I can't remember, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. 7 books here. I did DNF a book, which I won't go into. I'm going to start with the lower rated, and then finish on a high with the highest rating, which I always tend to do with this sort of books, this sort of wrap up video. So let's get started. The first one I gave 2 stars, and it's probably a bit of a controversial type of thing. So it's The Maidens. Okay, I know so many people love this author, so many people love The Silent Patient, so many people love The Maidens and their third book, which is The Fury, I think it's called. I wasn't a massive fan of The Silent Patient, so I was a bit wary picking up another book by this author, but I thought I would give it a go because this was raved about. It was very much hyped when it came out. So I read this in September and I gave it 2 stars. I don't really get it. Okay, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Okay, so I just had a few issues with this book. So I loved the setting and the writing was okay as well. Okay, so I loved like the descriptions, things like that. I loved this is set at Cambridge University. And I loved the premise of it. So we have this group of girls, they're called the Maidens. They are handpicked by the Greek professor. And it's all quite hush-hush, secret, society, that sort of thing. Sounds perfect, okay? And then there's a murder. Sounds even more perfect. You know, you've got like a bit of Donna Tartt's book, and we've got a bit of We Are Villains in there by Emma Rio. We've got, you know, a bit of Bunny as well. We've got some of these brilliant books that you kind of get the same sort of idea from those sort of books with this, okay? So the premise sounds perfect, right up my street. Now, the problem we have is that we don't really have any backstory of each of the girls in this group known as the Maidens. We don't really fully get to know them. And I kind of feel like it's a book called The Maidens, why are we not getting to know them? So that was a bit, you know, a bit of a issue with, you know, when I was reading it, of what I thought. Also, we're following the perspective of a therapist. So this therapist used to go to this university and now her niece, I think it's her niece, is at the university. So when this girl that the niece knows goes missing, gets murdered, whatever, I can't remember if they know that she's murdered straight away or whether it's that she's just missing for a bit. She kind of goes back to the university and somehow just gets a free pass to like wander around the university. And she basically plays detective, and yet the detectives that are actually on the case have no freaking clue. They don't know what they're doing, and yet you've got this therapist basically pretending to be a detective, and we're following her point of view as she's trying to figure out who's killed these maidens. And you kind of figure out quite early on who it is, which usually is absolutely fine because I want to find out the why. So if I figure out who the killer is in a murder mystery early on, it's usually absolutely fine because then it's like, oh, why did they do it, kind of thing. You're more looking into the why, which is absolutely great in my opinion. You know, I can still carry on reading. However, when you figure out the why in this book, you get to the ending and I was just like, but does it make any sense? Like the reasoning for this person to do the killing, it just didn't make any sense. It wasn't really like a motive. And I just kind of felt really disappointed with this book. I kind of just didn't really get it. I didn't understand what the hype was about it. I didn't really get why we were seeing from the point of view of this therapist, why this therapist was playing detective, why this person was able to just wander around the university when surely security protocol would be like, no chance is this complete utter stranger. Well, she wasn't a stranger. I know she went there, but still, it seemed a bit odd. She was a student. So yeah, I just don't know. There was a lot of things about this book it just didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, unfortunately, I gave it 2 stars. So yeah, but I know that a lot of people love this book. So I think it's just me. I don't know. But yeah, it was 2 stars. Then I read a Samantha Downing book, and I read He Started It. And I've been wanting to read a Samantha Downing book for quite some time. This one is following 3 siblings, and it's about a secret they've kept since they were children. And they kind of do this road trip, which is basically following the footsteps of what they did as children with their granddad. And I think, so out of the 3 siblings, 2 of them have partners, and the partners are with them on this road trip. And they're trying to keep all it hush-hush from their partners. It's all a bit odd, and you're starting to learn like what happened to them when they were children. And there's all this sort of bizarre stuff going on. It's very much a secrets. It's a bit of a psychological thriller. And you're going through state to state in the US, where they're basically doing this journey, and they go and visiting all of that, the really bizarre, weird museums, like with death and the Bonnie and Clyde place, and it's like a load of different random places that they go into, and apparently it's the exact same places that they went to with their granddad when they were younger. And we're kind of figuring out what this massive secret is from however many years ago it was. I mean, they're adults now. I mean, a couple of them are married. And yeah, we're kind of learning what happened to them as children, what went down, why it's a massive secret. And, you know, they're trying to keep this secret from their partners. But obviously the shit's about to hit the fan, and it's all going to come out of the woodwork. And it was very twisty. And it's great characterization in this as well, and there's a lot of suspense as well. There's many points in here that was very suspenseful, and I just have a good time reading this. I thought it was, yeah, very twisty, turny, a lot of like gasping moments, and like shock horror moments as well. See, I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it, but I could see what the author was doing with this, and it was a really good psychological thriller. I kind of feel like I definitely want to read more from this author. I know that this is the author for My Lovely Wife, which was everywhere when it came out. So yeah, I want to give that one a go. I would definitely say that Samantha Downing is one of those, you know, great thriller authors. I think this very short chapters, it's very quick paced, but there's a lot of tense moments. Very much family saga going on. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. Then we've got 4 books that were 4 stars. So first of all, we have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. If you love the Gilmore Girls, you will love this. The main guy character in this, Logan, very much reminds me of Luke from, you know, Luke's Diner in the Gilmore Girls. And there's very much like a sort of relationship thing that's going on. It's very much like Luke and Lorelai's little relationship thing going on. I'm only on season 2 of the Gilmore Girls, but you know how in Gilmore Girls you've got, you know, they both like each other, but they're not communicating it. Is it like that? So I don't like romance usually. I'm not a romance person at all. I don't like reading romance books, watching romance films. It's just not for me. However, this one I could get on board with. I mean, it is set in autumn. It is in a pumpkin spice cafe. It does go on all about pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkins decorating everything. It's very much, you know, Stars Hollow in autumn. It's like that in this book. And we've got a little bit of a romance going on between, what's her name, Jeannie. So she has to work in this cafe, take it over from her aunt. And then Logan is the local farmer who comes and brings like the pumpkins and all of their produce to the cafe. And you kind of see this little bit of romance blossoming. And at the same time, there's a little bit of a mystery going on because someone is trying to sabotage Jeannie. They don't want her to do well with this cafe. And there's a bit of a mystery there as well. I just had a really fun time reading this, and I actually really enjoy the romance in it, which is very unlike me because usually like I said, I don't like romance, but This one I could get on board with, probably because it is set in autumn. But it's very cozy, it's very cute, sweet, all that sort of thing. I love this cover as well because it's got gold foiling for the leaves. So yeah, definitely recommend that for a cozy autumn read. We have Study and Drowning by Ava Reid. So this one is more dark academia. We have Effie, who has always believed in fairy tales, and yeah, she's how can I describe this? So there's a particular book that she is obsessed with, and the author of this book has basically said that he wants someone to design his house. So she works in like the architecture side of things. This is set back in, oh, when was it? How can you describe, like I think it's like 1800s, I think, possibly. Oh dear, now I don't know. Basically it's at a time when it was very hard for women to go to college or university. So she's doing an architectural degree because she couldn't do the literature. I think it was like the English that she wanted to do, but she couldn't do that. So she's doing architecture because she still wanted to go to university. So when the author of her favourite fairy tale book says that he wants his estate to be redesigned in his house, she obviously jumps at the chance to do it. So she manages to get the job of going over there and designing this whole new house and estate for this author. And when she gets there, there's a literature student there who is basically trying to research this author. So basically the author's passed away as well. So yeah, so it's his family that basically want her to, you know, redo the house and the estate. And it's a big manor house, and she gets there and it's Preston, that was it. So he's the literature scholar, and he's basically going through the author's papers and is trying to piece together everything to prove that this author is a fraud. So obviously it's her arch nemesis or her enemy, because she obviously loves this author, and she's like, no way, there's no way he could be a fraud, and blah blah and all this lot. But they start to work together to investigate this author. And they start putting clues together, and they use like letters and books and diaries, and there's like dark forces that are working against them because they, you know, it doesn't want the truth to come out about this author. So it's a bit of like a friends to, no, enemies to lovers type of thing going on as well. Obviously it's set in this dark, creepy gothic manor house, which is always good as well. And yeah, I don't know, it's obviously scholars. It's just I just really enjoyed this, very much enjoyed it. And the writing is absolutely stunning as well, and so descriptive. So I definitely want to read more by Ava Reid. So definitely an author that I'm going to continue with. I believe she's just recently released a book, I think, called Lady Macbeth, which is like a Shakespeare retelling of Macbeth, but Lady Macbeth. I really want to read that as well, so I'm going to pick that one up soon. So very much enjoyed that. We have The Confession by Jessie Burton. This is the book that I thought was autumnal. It turns out it's not, but I still enjoyed it anyway. I still gave it 4 stars. This one is following Elise, and she basically meets this writer, Constance, and Constance basically gets a job over in, I think it's like New York, I think, or LA, in LA. So Elise basically follows her to LA. And obviously it's not something that she wants to do, but she thinks that she's like madly in love with Connie and all of that stuff. Anyway, Elise goes missing. And then we've got years later, 3 decades later, we've got Rose, and she's trying to uncover the story of her mother, who basically went when she was 6 months old, disappeared, never been able to find her or see her. She's always lived with her father, doesn't really know anything about her mother. And one day she finds out that the last person to see her mother would have been Constance. So she basically turns up at this author's house to be like, you're the last person to see my mum, what happened? And it's very much a bunch of like mystery. It's like a mystery of she's trying to find out, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. She's trying to find out what happened to her mother. She's trying to find out the connection between her mother and Constance, and actually wants to know what happened and why her mum's not around and she hasn't seen her and left when she was 6 months old. So a bit of like a family saga type thing, like, you know, a bit of a mystery, lots of secrets, all of that sort of thing. I did really enjoy it. It is across dual timeline. You've got like in the early 80s and then the now, which is like 2017. And it's a bit of like a modern mystery, but it's very cleverly done. And yeah, I just had so much good time with it. I had a good time with this. It's, you know, quite twisty as well. Yeah, very good reads. I gave it 4 stars. Then we have The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. So this book is, well, superb. It really is. Okay, so this basically is bringing a bunch of classic stories together into one story. So we have a bunch of these scientists who have all created monsters. And it's the daughters of these scientists that decide to come together to stop this society. This, I think it's called like a society. Yeah, it's like a secret society of immoral and power-crazed scientists is the wording here on the back. Basically, it's all of the daughters. So you've got Mary Jekyll, who's the daughter of Dr. Jekyll. You've got Diana Hyde, who's the daughter of Mr. Hyde. You've got Justine Frankenstein, which is the daughter of Dr. Frankenstein, Catherine Moore, Beatrice Rappaccini. So all of the daughters of these well-known like scientists and doctors who have created monsters. And it's the daughters, they all come together and they get the help of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And they are trying to figure out exactly all of the members of this society, and they're going to take them down. They don't want these scientists to continue creating monsters, continue to create these daughters who are, you know, they've all got something wrong with them or something, you know, they basically want it to be stopped. And it's basically pulling all of these amazing characters, putting them all together in one book as well. So all of the good classics, you know, like Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, all of these fantastic classic books that we all know and love, all the characters from that is being put together into this book. It's actually the first in a series. I'd first heard of it from, I think, Meg with Books, the YouTube handle name, so Megan, who had raved about this book, and I was like, I need to check this out. It sounds amazing, and it really is amazing. I just had so much fun reading this. It's such a brilliant idea and such a great, it's not the table. I just don't know, it's just a superb way of bringing all these characters together that we love and putting them into a book. Obviously the Doctors we don't love, but it's a take on those stories. We all know about those characters, so yeah, very, very good. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, would definitely recommend it. It's such a brilliant book. Loved it. Also, so the 5 daughters that are working together, you kind of see snippets. There's a book within a book because they're telling the story of what happened to them, how they created their little group, how they got together to take down their society. So throughout the story as well, you get like almost like a transcript of them just like talking. So they'll cut in, like here for instance, they'll cut in and it's meant to be, you know, the conversation that they're having because they're telling this story and they want to, like here, and it just cuts in the story and it's their conversation in the now. So we kind of start learning about them, like where they are at the moment as well. So I just thought it was a very unique concept, and I really liked this idea of this story within a story, and also getting to hear the characters in the now as they're talking to one another and discussing things with one another, because you kind of get like a bit more about their characters as well. It's very character driven, this book, and it's just done so superbly. I absolutely loved it. And then lastly, the 5-star read. Here it is. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the follow-up to The House in the Cerulean Sea. So if you don't know The House in the Cerulean Sea, it basically follows why's the name just completely gone out? Linus. It follows Linus, who works for the government in this section where, what is it called? Does it say it in here? That would be a lot more helpful. What was it called? It's like the department's in charge of magical youth and magical adults, and he has to go to orphanages and make sure the children are being, you know, safe, and they're all children with special powers as well. So in the first book, we see him go to this orphanage where there's 6 children. One of them is including the devil himself, and you've got Arthur, who is the owner of this this orphanage. And you kind of see Linus start to learn about these children, and each of them have they're just amazing characters. Each of these children are just wonderful. And then you start seeing this little relationship between Arthur and Linus start blossoming. Well, this is the follow-up. So in this one, we are following mainly Arthur, and we're kind of learning his backstory. We're learning how he got to the stage of being the owner of this orphanage. So you hear a lot about, you know, his life, and we're seeing how him and Linus are now taking on these children as if they are their own. And, you know, there's part of the government is trying to shut them down. They don't want this orphanage to carry on. They don't want these children to be on this island. They're saying that, you know, it's not safe for humans and all of this lot. And they are basically fighting to keep these children. Is very much found family, and it's the love between them and the fact that they will go to any length to keep this found family together. And it's just so well done, and every single one of these characters is just absolutely superb. I absolutely love this book, this series. I absolutely love it. I love it, love it, love it. So very much 5-star, very much. Like, you just can't give it anything less. The same as The House of Cerulean Sea, it was 5 stars. There is like talk of like, just check the triggers with this. You know, there is a bit on like child abuse and things like that, which isn't very nice. So yeah, check your trigger warnings for this one. But I absolutely loved this book. Absolutely loved it. Very much so. So yeah, there we go. Those are the books then that I read in September. Like I said, you can read these in October because they are very much ideal for autumn. Each of these books, I wanted a theme for my September reads to be very much autumnal, and I think I did quite well with the books that I chose. And I did have a very good reading month. There was only one that just wasn't great for me, but other than that, yeah, I had a brilliant reading month in September, and you know, I've obviously got an amazing bunch of books to read in October. So yeah, the reading is going very well at the moment. But yeah, I hope you liked this wrap up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will definitely be back soon with another video. Bye.